Mass Collector. Subscribe and like this video now. What's good, YouTube? Nate with Mass Collector here. Today's video is going to compare John Collins up against Jayson Tatum. And the reason why I wanted to do this is just kind of show you some of the research that I did on some of the lesser known players out there. And as you can see, once we get into this video, you'll see how closely John Collins actually sizes up against Jayson Tatum, but his card value isn't even close to Jayson Tatum's value. And kind of go through some of the reasons why maybe that's happening, and maybe some reasons also why it might change. And John Collins' value might actually go up here shortly. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, please subscribe to the channel. That would really help. Really appreciate that. Like the video and hit that bell for new content that pops up. All right, so we're going to compare the two right now a little bit. So Jayson Tatum and John Collins, they are both from the 2017 draft class. So Tatum was picked number 3. John Collins was number 19. They're both 22 years old, very close in height. They're only an inch apart. John Collins has got 1 more inch on Tatum. Weight-wise, John Collins seems to have about 25 more pounds than Jayson Tatum, so John Collins can really bang around there as a power forward, but Tatum looks pretty big too. They're both power forwards. Tatum is more or less kind of a 3-4 type of guy. I mean, he definitely can handle the ball well and create his own shots, and we'll get into that. Tatum went to Duke and Collins went to Wake Forest, so they've been playing against each other since college. We'll take a look at Jayson Tatum's bio right now a little bit, and kind of what I'm thinking why Jayson Tatum's value might be quite a bit higher than John Collins. The Boston, sports market is huge. Those fans over there, they're very loyal. Boston's always been a very competitive team, so they're always in the spotlight, which shows you when you look at their national TV exposure. They have been on national TV, or were scheduled to be on national TV this season 34 times, and that's on ABC, TNT, and ESPN, which is incredible to think about. Jayson Tatum is a great defender. He has very good ball handling skills. When you see him playing out on the perimeter, he can handle his own, that's for sure. He creates his own shots very well. He's a great shooter. When you look up some of his highlights from this past year, last couple of years, you can see how he can create his own shots. And he's the go-to guy, really, on Boston Celtics squad right now. When they need a hoop, he's the one that gets the rock. This year, he was a first-time All-Star 2020. Well deserving of that for sure, especially with all the attention that he gets beyond national TV. And the other thing is Brad Stevens absolutely loves the guy. You'll get some research and you'll see lots of quotes from Brad Stevens saying how great of a kid this guy is. He's kind of humble, works his ass off, and he's a huge talent. Now let's take a look at John Collins. Did some research on him. Here's some of my thoughts. The Atlanta sports market, maybe not as big of a name when you look at Boston sports. And I am no way saying that Atlanta sports aren't any good. I'm just talking about more of the storied, franchises: Boston Celtics, Boston Bruins, Boston Red Sox, the New England Patriots, dynasties at some point. So Atlanta, not so much. The Braves had a good run, but when you look at the Falcons and the Hawks, not so much. Now, the Hawks are not a very good team yet, but they are loaded with young talent. When you look at Trae Young, when you got John Collins, which is basically the number 2 guy, DeAndre Hunter got drafted, Cam Reddish got drafted this last year, Bruno Fernando drafted just recently as well. So they definitely have a good core of kids that are going to grow up together, hopefully, and the chemistry is just going to keep building and building, and they're going to learn how to play together. and learn how to win. They also got Clint Capela through a trade, I think, this last year, right before the shutdown happened. And Capela's a big dude, man. He's a rebounder, shot blocker, so that might actually leave John Collins some room there to kind of spread the floor out a little bit too. So John's a pretty good defender, a lot of block shots he gets, and he actually has said that he's focusing on his defense to guard perimeter players better as well. So that's what he worked on last offseason. All the clips that I've watched, all the research I've done, I mean, he is on the end of a lot of Trae Young assists. So alley-oops, he's a good shooter as well. When you look at some of the stats we're going to throw up as far as numbers go, as far as his field goal percentage, his three-point percentage, they're very, very good. John's a super athletic guy, runs the floor really well on fast breaks, and the only kind of bad mark this kid has is he had a 25-game suspension at the beginning of this last season due to a PED that, unbeknownst to him, he took. So who's to say if he really did it on purpose or not? You can only take the kid's word for it, but he did seem very remorseful, and you got to take his word for it on that one. He's young; we'll learn from him. All right, we'll take a look at their stats now, side by side, so you can kind of see their numbers and averages per game. So if you look at Jayson Tatum, 23.6 points per game, 7.1 rebounds. When you look at John Collins, he's pretty damn close, 21.6 points, and he actually has 3 more rebounds per game. Jayson Tatum has almost 3 assists a game, and a steal and a half, and a block. And John Collins has 1.5 assists a game, about 1 steal a game, and 1.5 or so blocks per game. So they're only a couple points away from each other, a few rebounds away from each other, 1 assist, a half of a steal, and really, a little more than half of a block that separates them between each other. When you look at the stats, they're so close. Field goal percentage, Collins is 58% versus 44% for Tatum. I'm sure that has to do with Tatum taking a lot more three-point shots. And speaking of three-pointers, Tatum's at almost 40%, and John Collins is just over 40% as well. Collins is only, I think he attempted 170 so far this season because he was suspended for those 25 games. And then Tatum was over, I think it was 420. So big difference in shot count. But when it comes down to percentages, definitely has been throwing up the shots to have a legit percentage point there. Another thing to keep in mind, John Collins is the number 2 guy on the team. So he is competing for shots with Trae Young, who launches quite a few. Well, let's take a look at some comps on eBay for their rookie cards and just kind of compare the values that they were sold for lately. When you look at, this is PSA 10 Prisms and base and silver and some other variables, various ones, the green and the blue. But when you kind of look at comparing it, Jayson Tatum's value for his rookie card is about 4 times or more than John Collins' rookie cards when you look at the Prisms. Now we'll transition over to the optic versions of the rookie card. I have the Hollows, the Blue Velocities, and the Shock Prisms. These are all PSA 10s as well, and I mean it's not even close on these. This is recent sales, most recent that I can find, and on the Hollow, Jayson Tatum's, you got a $2,000 plus, and John Collins, $133. The Blue Velocity, $480 for Tatum, $40 for John Collins, and then the Shock, about $200 for Tatum, and probably around $40 because it was the best offer. So night and day difference. And when I started seeing this, I really wanted to really put things down on paper just to compare them a little bit more. So then I went on to PSA top reports and brought up the optics. And it's pretty alarming when you look at how many cards Jayson Tatum has graded as PSA. 10 times as much, you know, just on the base. On the hollow, there's only one John Collins 10 out there. That's it total for graded. Jayson Tatum's got 29. So, you know, the optics, I know they're harder to grade from what I've been hearing. And they're definitely lesser known than the Prisms out there. But there's probably some really good opportunity even on the Tatum side too, is to get some of those optics graded because the pop reports are so low. I also have some comparisons on the raw side on eBay comps here. So again, optics. I just brought up the shocks just as an example because the spread isn't very it's not as much as like the hollows, but you know, it's about 10 times difference when you look at Tatum's versus John Collins. So, you know, $60 or so, and then Collins was selling for $5, you know, a week ago. So I'm going to go through my take on all of this data that I collected. Again, this is my opinion. You know, take it with a grain of salt, whatever you want to do. Leave some hate if you want. Enjoy the comments on the video. But, you know, Atlanta's going to get better. They're a super young team. You know, they've only been playing together, most of them, for a couple years at max. So once that chemistry starts to click, you know, they're definitely going to be a better team, more competitive, which will, you know, get them on TV more. So when you look at this last year, I mean, they only had 2 games on ESPN, TNT, and ABC combined for the whole 2019-2020 season. That's it. That doesn't include NBA TV or anything like that. They have to pay a subscription fee for, but just nationally televised, which is unbelievable. I mean, people haven't even watched these guys. John Collins' contract extension is going to come up here if he does get a contract extension. Next year is his final year on his contract, his rookie contract. So it'll be interesting to see what Atlanta does. Management there does say they want to build around Young and Collins going forward. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens, especially after this year with the whole COVID-19 and the pay and everything that's going on right now. So, and if he does become a restricted free agent and a team offers him more money than Atlanta is willing to give him, and he goes to a team to be a #1 guy and on possibly a more competitive team that's, you know, inches away from the playoffs, you know, his value could go through the roof. And when I look at investing in John Collins, I'm looking at long-term, years, not just a quick flip. You know, I'm buying raw cards, so I'm going to send them in to get graded and hold on to those things until we really start to see this team and him blossom into the player that he probably can be. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I really appreciate you guys checking it out. Please leave some comments on what you guys think of everything that I presented here, and we'll see you in the next video.
Here's Will Barton going up. That's Rain. Here comes Harden, and that's knocked out. Gordon will drive. Blocked by Collins. Vertical. Trey to Collins. Yes, sir.